We go to the movies on a Friday night. Brian Ortega's here in studio with a lot of shirt on. A lot of shirt. Got the Barbenheimer shirt.
I'm really jacked
There's a
about it.
lot going on there.
Yeah, this is the had to commemorate Barbenheimer, which happened last week.
Yep.
Now I have this forever and never wash it because it'll probably come off.
Brian Ortega, by the way, VSiN Producer, Concierge, Confidentials, the podcast, as always. As I've always said, the most cosmopolitan man at the network. And now joining us, you know, I was thrown off here because it's Saturday Bet Prep, not Sunday Bet Prep. And he's only on for 2 segments, not 3. So our guy Tom Cunningham with us right now. I'll run your pool where you can find Tom's great work. Tom, you can't match Ortega's shirt, even though you got the pink going on.
Yeah, I know. I just went with pink for Barbie. I did not do the pre-gaming like Ortega, where I got a T-shirt and a cool Barbie drink before the movie. So,
thank you,
yeah.
Tom.
I watch your podcast. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I support you, Brian. Yeah,
thanks.
So I'm gonna get the amateur view out first because I have seen both films, seen them both. Tom, we talked last week about how Barbie was something I did not expect, but it was unbelievably well done. Greta Gerwig deserves so much credit for the way she directed that film. Margot Robbie is the star of all stars, as we know, and Ryan Gosling was incredible.
He was energetic.
There were a lot of funny things in that movie that were great that involved a word beginning with Ken. I think you guys know what probably was the funniest thing for me.
Beach.
Yes, beach. Yes, very good at beach. But then I saw Oppenheimer on Sunday last week. Now, I didn't see it in IMAX, and I plan on seeing it in IMAX this upcoming week.
Yeah.
But that was just exhilarating all the way through. And look, some may say that's a horrible word choice for what he talked about. There were a lot of things in that were very depressing. Obviously, knowing the history of what happened to Robert Oppenheimer gets shown in that he really obviously was given a horribly raw deal after the fact. But man, just everything about that Ortega was just so well done in that movie, from the sound to just the visuals, the acting, just everything in that, the directing, everything was just so darn good in that movie.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic, and I have to say it was a highly anticipated film. He really pumped up. You had to see it in IMAX. You had to see it in 70 millimeter. I saw it on the same day that I saw Barbie, which if you're going to be doing that, which you probably shouldn't do that at this point, you've missed the moment. But you also probably can't find a ticket for both of those in the same day. But I would say you should probably do Barbie first, let that kind of just happen, and then see Oppenheimer. I did the flip side, which made me want to see Oppenheimer more. So I think this is a good time to sort of jump into sort of the odds movement, kind of like what happened. So going into the weekend, sort of previews that started coming out, Killers of the Flower Moon was the favorite at around plus 300. And then you also had Oppenheimer sort of trailing it at plus 450, plus 500, somewhere around there. Then once it just released to the mass audiences, totally flipped over the weekend. It went from plus 500 all the way up to plus 150. And I think it will remain there until we get to Killers of the Flower Moon. So I think you've basically lost all of your value on taking Oppenheimer at this point as we throw the screen up.
Yep.
I think the next time you can probably try betting on Oppenheimer is when Killers of the Flower Moon comes out. That'll probably be where the odds movement comes at the top of the board. And I think Oppenheimer is going to win Best Picture. I'm calling it now. It could be recency bias, but I just think so many things came together. So many people were calling it a masterpiece. But that's where I sit on Oppenheimer being the winner. But I think Tom has a different choice on who he thinks might be the dark horse coming out of this. Because he did hit last year. He hit Everything Ever All at Once when it was a huge underdog. So I think Tom has some thoughts on it.
Tom, last week you did bring this up to me before I saw Oppenheimer, that you still had Spider-Man ranked slightly ahead of it.
I do.
As everything is marinated over a week, are you still in that camp?
I'm still going with Spider-Man, and also on the record, we did hit Coda at 10-1 2 years ago as well for Best Picture.
Same.
So my thing with Spider-Man is that it, to me, was just a better movie walking out of the theater. Not by much. I think if you go Oppenheimer, I'm not going to argue it. I mean, you're basically looking at Tweedledee, Tweedledum here, 1A, 1B for Best Picture. When I got through with Oppenheimer, my first thought was it caught Spider-Man. It did not pass it, however. And a lot of what I'm hearing about Spider-Man is it's not going to win Best Picture because it's an animated movie. And I don't think that argument is strong this year. We're always talking about how the Academy is trying to be a little bit different each year. They're trying to be transcending, have different representation in their awards and their winners. And I think that might actually be true for the animation and the animators of filmmaking throughout the years. Keep in mind, the Oscars have been going on for 96 years, and not once have they really given animation movies its due. And Guillermo del Toro, during his speech when he won animated movie last year for Pinocchio, he said, I wish people would recognize animators more. And so I think if there was ever a year the Academy wanted to be different and be legit in making history, I think it would be this movie. This movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, has also won 3 awards already, 3 different awards already. And now it's the Hollywood Mid-Season Association Awards. Jeff, we've talked about this. It's kind of like the halftime awards of the industry. And Spider-Man's won Best Picture, it's won Best Screenplay, and it's won Best Director. 3 heavyweight categories right off the bat. Also keep in mind that, I mean, you can take this with a grain of salt, but IMDb, they do top 250 rankings daily of movies of all time. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is number 15 of 250. It's the highest animated movie rated on there, and it's higher than, you guessed it, Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is only 29. Again, it's Tweedledee, Tweedledum, and take those rankings with a grain of salt. It's IMDb, so that doesn't mean anything. But I think it's interesting to see how a lot of the industry is reacting to this movie being a Best Picture contender. And then finally, the only thing I would add to make a case for Spider-Man over Oppenheimer right now, besides the insane value that you're going to get 50-1, that's just insane value right off the bat, is the emotional factor of the movie. So the last 3 winners of Best Picture has been Nomadland, Coda, and Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think the common denominator between those 3 films is that it's a feel-good story and it kind of plucks the heartstrings of audience members. I would argue that 3 hours through Oppenheimer, I mean, it was, look, it kept your attention. It was intense. It was thrilling. But I don't think I cried in the 3 hours of Oppenheimer. I'll admit there were a few moments in Spider-Man I did tear up. And especially if you're a parent with a kid growing up, some of the dialogue really hits you hard. And so I think from an emotional standpoint, Spider-Man actually does beat Oppenheimer with the emotional angle, playing the emotional card a little bit. So there's a few reasons I like Spider-Man. Now, I'm not going to say you're wrong for taking Oppenheimer for Best Picture. I'm with Brian. I think it's going to stay at plus 150 in the favored spot, at least until Killers of the Flower Moon comes out. And if Killers of the Flower Moon is halfway decent, it might take some of the odd value away from Oppenheimer. And then that would be the time you strike on Oppenheimer if Killers of the Flower Moon ends up taking some of its value away. So again, I think Spider-Man Across Spider-Verse to me is the best film. I think there's a lot of reasons to consider it the best film. And then I also think it just has the best value on the board right now. So those would be my reasons for making a case for Spider-Man as your Best Picture winner this year.
Sure. So I think you hit on a point that they are getting younger at the Academy. I don't think they're getting that young. I think they really want to reward something that really, it's really hard not to award something that happened in one of the biggest weeks out of the entire year, really out of the past decade. And I think that it put together so many different crafts to put together Oppenheimer that they really want to reward this film. And I really honestly, I really think it's going to be only a 2-horse race. I don't think, again, I think this is not the year that an animated film is going to win, even though Guillermo del Toro did say that we have to really respect animation. I respect it, but I think Oppenheimer will win. But I think Killers of the Flower Moon will put up a run, but I think I actually want to kind of propose to you an odd that they a market that they should put up for the Academy Awards, maybe on the other side. But I just think it's so vast. The story's so big. I don't have any kids, and I did watch Spider-Man, and it does have an emotional aspect to it. But I really enjoyed the thinking aspect and where it just sat with me of Oppenheimer. So that's kind of where I sit on that.
Yeah, again, I thought Oppenheimer was the best movie I've seen so far this year. And also, too, and I think the point you made, Brian, is important with all this. Oppenheimer and Barbie, and I know the Academy doesn't care about betting numbers, they destroyed all the numbers that were put up in faraway places for what the projected numbers were.
They did.
They went over. Destroyed them. Barbie almost doubled. Oppenheimer did double.
Yes.
It was just that weekend, what social media did for Barbenheimer. I mean, look at the man's shirt. Brian Ortega, VSiN Producer, Man About Town, Concierge Confidential, the podcast for Brian. Tom Cunningham also with us as well. Run Your Pool, where you can get Tom's work. Again, Ortega takes the round on shirt for the night.
Oh yeah.
Sorry there, Tom, but again,
Fair.
there's a lot of shirt going on.
It's a lot. Like it's vinyl. Like it feels like a shirt you got like for $15. Basically.
I mean, that thing is going to fall apart immediately as soon as you try to dry it.
Yeah, it's just it looks cool though on
It will
TV. That's all that
disintegrate.
matters.
Legitimately disintegrate.
That's okay.
That's all right. You got what's important out of it.
That's right.
So, all right, well, guys, you guys have your top 10 lists. Let's Tom, let's start with you here, because you already said what's your number one, what's your number two. What else has at least a fighting chance here in the best picture realm of possibility here?
Sure. Well, I'll go with two movies that I haven't reviewed yet. And just from what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing with the odds movements, Past Lives would be the first one. That's down to just 3-digit odds, where everything else is basically 4 digits. And so, yeah, Past Lives definitely want to circle. And then we talked about at the Cannes Film Festival, Best Picture was Anatomy of a Fall. It's a French film. And we know the success of foreign films at the Oscars lately. Parasite won Best Picture. All Quiet on the Western Front, racked up a ton of awards last year, too, as an underdog, Best Score and Production Design. And so, yeah, I would circle those two. But for movies I have reviewed, I'm stunned I haven't seen 1001 on any betting ticket yet for Best Picture. 1001 to me is right there with Oppenheimer and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Some of the best acting of the year in 1001, and some of the best storytelling and directing as well from A.V. Rockwell. So just want to give it a shout out there. I also have Blackberry in my top 5 right now for Best Pictures. I have not seen odds for that out yet either. So I think 1001 and Blackberry are two really strong contenders that I just don't think odds makers are eyeing right now, and they could go under the radar for most of the year. So keep an eye on those movies. Now, Barbie I have at 5 and Asteroid City 6. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret at number 7. Of those 3, I actually think Barbie has a really good chance to see a Best Picture nomination. The other 2 I don't think will, but I will say that Barbie is, to me, a Best Picture contender. And I'm not sure I would take it to win Best Picture, however, but I do expect it to be one of the top 10 films to hear its name called when nominations are revealed in February. So I think Barbie would definitely be one that's available right now to keep an eye on. But again, I would not take it for Best Picture. I also have a few stragglers in there. I have Rye Lane, Little Richard, I Am Everything documentary in my top 10. But again, these are movies I've reviewed, and some of them are not obviously, documentary is not going to get a Best Picture nomination. But, look out for Little Richard, I Am Everything when Best Documentary odds do drop, if it does hear its name on nomination day. So of the early season contenders that I've reviewed so far, Spider-Man, Oppenheimer, 1001, Blackberry, Barbie, and Asteroid City. Those are my top 6 that have a good chance to get nominated this year. And then the rest of them I don't think are worth mentioning. But again, Past Lives and Anatomy of a Fall would be 2 movies I circled that I haven't reviewed this year, but are making a lot of noise right now in terms of the Best Picture market.
Brian?
Yeah. Oh no. So he actually did a lot of he did a lot of films that have come out already, which I think is smart to do. I'm a little bit chalkier on it. So he hasn't seen Past Lives, which it's okay. It's a very small film done by A24, which probably will get a nom because it's A24. They always get movies in. It's not going to be the Everything Everywhere All at Once that was last year. It's a much smaller film, much quieter, much more it's much more centered around these 2 people, and it's really nice film, which I think I wrote her name down. Greta Lee, who's actually the lead in that film, will get an Oscar nomination. We'll see if she has any chance, especially going up against Margot Robbie for Barbie, and also who I think actually will win this award. So I kind of want to put this out into the stratosphere because it's actually not up yet. But Lily Gladstone, who's the lead for Killers of the Flower Moon, at this time, from me looking at the board, I think she has the best shot, and she's probably going to be the favorite once the awards come out for the best actresses. And also Lee, which is another film coming out later this year. It's not a lot of publicity for it yet, but Kate Winslet is the lead in that as a war photographer in World War II. Those are all like the buzzy words to be an Academy Award nominee. But I mean, I really like Lily Gladstone to win that award. So anyways, here's my top 10. So my top 10 is a little bit chalkier. You're going to notice that I have like asterisks on this because a lot of these films haven't come out yet. But Oppenheimer is obviously my number 1. Killers of the Flower Moon is number 2. I think Maestro was a really good choice at number 3 just because it is a Bradley Cooper film. It was pushed back a year, and I think it helped because it would have been going up against Tar, which was a really popular film last year. They're both about composers. This one's about Leonard Bernstein. I definitely see Bradley Cooper getting a nom out of that for Best Actor. Probably for Best Director, we'll see. But I'm really excited that this might be the year that Christopher Nolan finally gets his Best Director award. Greta Gerwig is also going to be nominated. The Oscars love her, and now that she's been, a blockbuster draw, she's the queen of the box office. She's definitely going to get a nomination, I believe. But a couple of these ones that are, they could be great, they could be bad. Again, Napoleon is on there. That's the Ridley Scott film with an Academy Award winner in Joaquin Phoenix. We'll see. And then I also have Ferrari on there, which is my man, Michael Mann. Michael Mann directed this film. It's about the creator of Ferrari, obviously, and that has Adam Driver starring in it. And of course, Barbie. I put Asteroid City in there because the Oscars just really love Wes Anderson. I just told you guys I just watched this movie to prepare for this, and I did not like it. But hey, it's not always what I like. Sometimes it's what everybody else likes. And then I kind of just went off of what the Academy likes to do. They typically like to put in an international film, which I put in Anatomy of the Fall without even watching it, just because they like to put an international film in the race. And I also put Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse because it's animated, it's good, it's popular, and hey, why not? And a lot of these movies might fall out. For example, like The Color Purple is supposed to be up for this year, but who knows with the writer's strike, it might be pulled back or pushed back. And then same thing with Dune Part 2. If Dune Part 2 comes in, I think Tom actually mentioned it in the break, that is really going to be the only film that I think is going to go after or challenge any of the below the line categories like visual effects and like production design and stuff like that.
It's interesting because, like, again, just two different strategies of looking at things right now. Brian, half your list hasn't come out yet, basically, right. And we'll say Adam Driver as Enzo Ferrari is going to be a very fun one.
All he has to do is just
Day.
take in the character he took from Gucci and then just translate it into Ferrari. So he just loves playing an Italian.
So I will say this, and I said this during the break to you guys, because Napoleon on your list, Tom, you didn't have this is one of those movies where I am going to see. I was a history major in college. French history is of. There are a lot of countries that have interesting histories.
Right.
France's history is totally off the wall.
Yeah. And if anybody knows how to do history, it's Ridley Scott, who did Gladiator, which has zero historical facts.
Correct. So you could end up with some bonkers, ridiculous movie that the performances from Joaquin Phoenix as Napoleon could be amazing, but the movie could be absolutely awful.
Very true.
There's absolutely a possibility of that. There's also a possibility that Phoenix is amazing, the movie's really good, and all of a sudden, whoa, Napoleon, not quite Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, but maybe a legitimate third when this is all said and done. Tom, I do want to ask you this, though. For Best Actor, just going there real quick, it could be really tough for Cillian Murphy not to be the favorite when those markets start coming out here.
Yeah, I actually have him at number 1. But, to me, I think Brian might agree with me here. I think the strongest lock right now in terms of the acting categories, I would argue Robert Downey Jr. for Best Supporting Actor is a shoe-in win right now. And I had the same feeling when I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once last year. Around this time, I said, well, Best Supporting Actor market's over. He's going to win. And I think that's kind of the same case how I feel with Robert Downey Jr. right now. I just think he was so strong in that movie. And he kind of just blew past Matt Damon. And Matt Damon, to me, was fantastic in that movie. And I would actually argue Matt Damon has a better chance to get a supporting actor nomination in Oppenheimer than he does a lead actor in Air. But to me, Robert Downey Jr., to me, is a lock right now for Best Supporting Actor. I do have Cillian Murphy at number 1 for Best Actor right now. And I still have Tiana Taylor from 1001 as the Best Actress. I know Margot Robbie was fantastic in Barbie, and I do know that, there's a lot of other top contenders that are coming out. But I think Tiana Taylor, to me, is going to be very difficult to beat for Best Actress right now. And so I would kind of circle her. And then Scarlett Johansson, look, Brian mentioned Asteroid City. I don't know where they're going to put Scarlett Johansson, supporting actress or lead actress. But I think she is a lead actress, but she's being lumped into supporting actresses right now. So she would be another name that I watch.
Right. Just to hit the supporting actor really quick. So I agree. I think Robert Downey Jr. is going to be the favorite. I think he's probably going to win. I think the only thing that might be able to challenge that is Killers of the Flower Moon, but they're going to have 2 people running for Best Supporting, which is going to be Robert De Niro most likely, and Jesse Plemons. They really want to give Jesse Plemons an Oscar, so we'll see, but I think Robert Downey Jr. definitely deserves the Oscar for Oppenheimer.
We'll have plenty of time to get through this over the next few months on the Oscars front. Tom Cunningham, Brian Ortega. Gentlemen, pleasure as always. Thanks for coming to the studio.
Thanks.
Tom, pleasure as always.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.